your position on that? Is that appropriate for them to be in these facilities?
Look, I think the best thing we can do is to pass Senate Bill 1 and Senate Bill 221 if we want to make sure that our kids are not going out of state. As you know, Hillary, we have, I think, 83 children that are placed in out-of-state facilities. I would like all of these kids to be here in Oregon. And without having a system of care, a foster care system that meets the needs of these children, we just frankly don't have the beds. And so what I see happening with the passage of Senate Bill 1 and Senate Bill 221 is that will substantially enhance the system's ability to meet those children's needs here. The other piece that the legislation does is provide more resources and support to families, more wraparound services, so that we can keep more kids at home, which ought to be our first priority. So, am I concerned? Absolutely. Do I think there's some easy solutions? No. But I think it's critically important, if we want to build capacity, that we pass and fund bills like Senate Bill 1 and Senate Bill 221. So I'm hoping.
I didn't hear a clear answer on, are the jails an appropriate place for foster kids?
Look, I would like us to have better capacity in terms of foster beds. That means foster homes that meet the needs of our children, whether it's cultural competence, whether it's specialized needs, and that is all about building capacity, and that is exactly what we need to do. It requires both resources and, frankly, people power, more folks being willing to step up and do the training needed to serve in that role, and we don't have the beds that we need right now. That are appropriate for all of our children. I think I think the agency would say that. I certainly would say that.
So
I think one of the
actually said something different. Marilyn Jones, your child welfare director, told me these are children that can't be with families. They're out of state or they're in these facilities because they cannot be with families.
It's because we don't have the capacity to meet their needs here in Oregon right now. And I believe that by passing Senate Bill 1 and passing Senate Bill 221, we can build the infrastructure to keep them here in Oregon. So it may not be all with families. I'm talking more broadly about the system, and that is, we know we don't have enough, for example, foster families or appropriate services that are culturally competent for the diversity of our kids in the system. I think one of the things that we are working to do is to build capacity of the system and ensure that all of the kids are getting their needs met. And one of the best things we can do is make sure that we are providing parents with the support and services that they need so that kids don't need to be removed in the first place.
Governor, what do you think about the hearings themselves? Because they've been very adversarial, and the DHS director was like, this isn't the best way to go about this. We should be doing this in private. And the meetings you're having, I believe they're not public, so it seems like you're going the direction that the DHS director wants. What do you think of Senator Gelser's hearings and the way that they've been conducted?
She's a senator. She's entitled to run her hearings. I believe very strongly that the public needs to have full faith and confidence in the system. And our oversight board is meeting next week, May 1st, for the first time. I will be asking the board to develop a plan in terms of communicating regularly with the legislature and, frankly, with the public about both evaluations and recommendations and implementation of those recommendations. As you know, there are, in the last 3 years, there have been 3 reports done: the public knowledge report, the Secretary of State's audit, and more recently, the agency's listening tour. Between all 3 of those reports, I think the recommendations number between probably 35 to 50. I think it's really important that we prioritize those and focus on those, make sure the agency has the support they need, the people power they need, and get those recommendations implemented.
Governor.